At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 300 programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
KFI AM 640, it's Mr. Mo Kelly. We are live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app, and we have a huge show. I can still see outside. It's still not dark. I can't quite get used to it, and I mean that in a good way. I'm still ecstatic that it's daylight saving time, and I can see outside, and I'm not ready to go home and go to sleep, because usually we start the show, and it is dark already, as if most people's days are already over. And I get it. I get it. When the sun is down, I'm thinking like, okay, it's time to wind down. But no, not anymore. It's time to turn up, as the young kids say. Do they say that anymore? Or that's what they used to say? I don't know. I can't keep up.
Once in a while.
Okay, because look, you're closer than me. I can't keep up with all the vernacular, all the changes in the lexicon that young people use today. Talking about cap, no cap, Riz, sus, all those words which aren't words, but I guess they make sense to somebody. Fleek, well, that's an old one. Anyhow, we have a huge show tonight. We're going to talk about the man who lost his daughter to measles. Evidently, he's standing by his unwillingness to vaccinate her. Have a lot of thoughts on that tonight. That will be next segment. And we have another advisory to stay out of the ocean, as in every single beach in Southern California. They finally have started listening to my show, and they realize that, you know what, why don't we just go ahead and tell them to stay out of every piece of water, every body of water. Don't try to go in any ocean anywhere in Southern California. That's at the bottom of the hour. And it's about time that you all give me a little more credit, especially you, Stefan. We got to talk about Governor Gavin Newsom again. He has a new episode of his podcast. And I told you my theory of what he was actually trying to do, trying to rebrand himself, trying to reach a different audience. He's not talking to people in California. He already knows that he has you. He's not worried about losing California in a hypothetical presidential campaign. He's talking about reaching across the aisle, trying to reach over to MAGA, trying to rebrand himself, reposition himself, represent himself as someone who isn't so far to the left that maybe he might be able to steal some votes. But his presidential campaign has already begun. How do I know? Because he just talked to Steve Bannon for episode 2 of his podcast. Charlie Kirk, Steve Bannon. You might notice a pattern here, and it's intentional. And we have to talk about Stefan. He finally did the homework assignment. He finished the homework assignment and saw the ending of Paradise. And I think he's crazy. There's something wrong with that kid. It's one of the greatest shows ever on television. And Stefan, there's something wrong. Oh, we need to stage an intervention. Okay,
we have to send him to a re-education camp. Let's not pull any punches here.
There's something wrong with him. And I don't know what the correct term to use in today's world. Okay.
Nuts. The correct term is nuts. He's nuts.
I thought that was politically incorrect. I can't call him nuts. I can't call him crazy.
Really?
We're not supposed to.
Oh.
It's frowned upon.
Oh, okay.
Stefan, how would you characterize yourself? Other than wrong.
Alternatively wise. In other words, insane. Can we say that? Or wise?
No. There's no or, okay?
Alternative math? What are we doing?
Alternative math.
Evidently, you live in a world and see the world in a way that most people don't. Okay, you're on your own spectrum. You're way over here. Way over here. I don't know how they would describe you, if they call you Storm Man, Rain Man. You know. Don't laugh at my jokes and not give me a rim shot.
Well, because it's against me, but okay.
You're not wrong. So Stefan is going to give us his season-ending review of Paradise. Some weeks ago, I gave everyone on the staff a homework assignment. Watch Paradise on Hulu. And I said, just watch the first episode. That's all I asked. Watch the first episode because it will reveal something to you. And then you can make your decision whether you want to watch the next 7 episodes. There are a total of 8. I thought it was one of the best shows I've seen. I don't know if they'll be able to duplicate it in season 2. It's been re-upped for season 2. I don't know. But as far as season 1 is concerned, I'm all in. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen in season 2. But if you haven't started seeing it, just watch the first episode and come back and tell me how right I am. I have been hearing from a lot of listeners about Paradise on Hulu. They've hit me on Instagram or Threads at Mr. Mo Kelly, MrMokelly. And to a person, I've yet to see anyone who has not absolutely, thoroughly enjoyed that show, except for maybe Stefan.
Okay. Don't sully before I can even defend myself.
Can't wait to hear this.
Yeah, you're going to be wrong, but I'm just letting everybody know in advance you're wrong and you are not a good judge of television. That's all.
People are already hating me because of this. It's not even like accurate, but okay.
Okay. We'll see. When we come back, we have to talk about the measles death and the father of the young girl and how he's adamant that he made the right decision, believe it or not. That's next. It's Later with Mo Kelly. KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And I have been talking about the measles generally for a few weeks now, and it's been intentional because I don't want people to die unnecessarily, especially children. I think we have a responsibility to make sure that at least we protect our children, who most often are defenseless, who are powerless, and leave it to us as their parents and other adults to protect them. When a child dies of measles, which is something which is pretty much preventable, completely avoidable, I take exception to that. And in the Atlantic, there was an interview with the father of the 6-year-old girl who became the first measles death in the United States in 10 years. And this father, who went by the name of Peter, he did not divulge his real identity, discussed his beliefs that led up to her dying from measles. And again, I always feel obligated to remind people that measles had been eradicated in this country. Back in 2000, it officially was eradicated. Peter and his daughter lived in Seminole, the small West Texas town at the center of this outbreak. Peter is a part of the traditional Christian sect known as Mennonites. And in that sect, if you don't know, there's nothing explicit as to being anti-vaccine, but they are regressive as far as modern medicine is concerned. And that's new. That's not new when you compare it to other conservative religious groups. Conservative, small c, not politics. Conservative as far as lifestyle and religion. And Peter, in his interview with The Atlantic, said, quote, "The vaccination, as in measles, has stuff we don't trust. We don't like the vaccinations, what they have these days. We've heard too much and we saw too much," close quote. And I could analyze every single word he said, but the general sentiment I think we've all heard before. The vaccination has stuff we don't trust. I guess he's talking about his community, his religious community, but the stuff, I'm not so sure to what he's referring. And there's been so much misinformation and disinformation intentionally misleading people on vaccines. Yes, I understand why some people may not trust vaccines. I understand if you're not in a flow of information which is predicated on facts, yes, you may not know what to believe or know who to believe. But most of the traditional Christian sects and I say this as a Christian, most of them are not anti-medicine. And this is something different. It's not like the Mennonites don't believe in doctors. That's something completely different. We're talking about not believing in vaccines. In other words, I'm sure that all the children in these communities will go to the doctor. They're refusing, though, to treat their children with vaccines. And I don't know where that disconnect comes from. It's like you trust a doctor and then you don't trust a doctor. Or you say there's stuff in the vaccine that you don't trust. And I don't know to what that is, because people left and right, not politically, just in general, left and right on this country, will put stuff in their bodies they surely shouldn't be trusting, from the cigarette to the alcohol to all sorts of foods and the additives that we know for a fact are killing us. But you won't take the vaccine, which is 97% effective. It's hard to rationalize something that irrational. It's hard to say, hey, I'm not going to take the step, which I know is going to be 97% effective, to protect my child, because there's something obviously I don't understand, or I've heard too much, I saw too much, so I don't want to trust that. And I say this in a world in which people stick themselves with Ozempic shots every single day without a second thought. But we're so conspiratorial, and I'll touch on this at the end of the show. We are willing to die or watch our children die because we don't know. We're not willing to embrace common sense at this point. This is not 1932. You can find accurate information. You can find a physician to explain it to you. It's not like it's beyond the realm of possibility to find a virologist, an immunologist, an epidemiologist to help you understand the advantages and the reasons that we have vaccines, or why measles has been eradicated. And I don't know how old Peter is, the father of this deceased child. I don't know how old he is. But according to him, he insists that measles is a normal part of life. For who? When? Where? Measles has not been a normal part of anyone's life this century. He is of the opinion that, quote, and I'm quoting him now, he says, everybody has it. It's not so new for us. I don't know if there's something emotionally wrong with Peter, but that does not even square up with reality. There is no everybody. There's been an outbreak where he lives, but not everybody has it. But if everyone had it, you would think then that there would probably be more evidence of it. So I dispute what he's telling us, and I'm not so sure he's being honest with us. But Peter is not unique, and that's the main point. There's a Peter in every neighborhood, in every town, in every city. And I know some people are listening right now, probably nodding your head saying, yeah, I understand what Peter is concerned with, because I don't trust those vaccines either, because I believe that they're going to give us autism, or I believe that the government hasn't thoroughly researched them enough, and we don't know what actually those vaccines are going to do to us long term. This is what I've actually heard from people while they will eat and drink and do anything else with their bodies, and as if they actually understand any of this on the level of an actual physician. And I say this sincerely, and I don't mean to sound condescending. I don't mean to sound like an a-hole. I don't mean to sound elitist, but this is why I think sometimes we're the dumbest nation on the face of the earth. Because not only do we have the tools, let me say it from a Christian perspective, not only do we have the tools that God sent us to help us, we instead want to ignore them and would rather put our own children in further danger unnecessarily. There was a time in which people only lived average age of 35. Why? Because of diseases just like this. And then science comes along and makes it a little bit easier for us to live a little bit longer. And we want to say, as if we know better, I don't trust what is in the vaccine. I don't know what's in there. I've heard too much. Again, I'm quoting, I've heard too much. I've seen too much. Actually, he means I've not heard enough and I've not seen enough. And because of that, my daughter will not live any longer. And I've had about enough.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And just to let you know, we are watching that ongoing situation. There are reports of an armed person at a Loma Linda University Children's Hospital. There's a huge police response. We have San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, which is on scene. No shots have been fired, or no reports of any shots have been fired. Just to let you know, we are watching it. The KFI 24-hour newsroom is on it, and as more information comes in, we'll make sure to forward it on to you. And in that bumper, as we go back to what we were going to talk about, the Beach Boys. I grew up a huge Beach Boys fan. I've always loved their harmonies. I love their musicality. And anytime we get a chance to talk about the beach or the ocean and the water, I usually throw in some Beach Boys, and it's for that reason. And tonight, I'm talking about the water because there is an advisory. Officials are warning the public, you, me, Mark Ronner, Stephanie even, to avoid all LA County beaches. Not just this one or that one, not just a few of them, not just a portion of a beach. All beaches in LA County, due to high levels of bacteria connected to this heavy rainstorm that you've been hearing Mark Ronner tell us about, which is going to be most likely through the rest of the week. And the ocean water warnings will remain in effect until Friday, March 14th at 4 p.m. So in other words, don't go to the beach during the week, but sure, go this weekend or something like that. According to KTLA, due to significant rainfall, excessive bacteria, trash, debris, and chemicals can seep from city streets and mountain areas to contaminate ocean waters, especially around discharging storm drains, creeks, and rivers. And the warning also includes any runoff that may flow onto or pond on the beach sand. This is easy for me because I generally just stay out of the water at this point. And not only that, I don't know, maybe you're a surfer, and I always kid Joe Kwan and Matt Money Smith because there are resident surfers within our radio cluster. Joe Kwan, you usually will see her on Spectrum News. Matt Money Smith, voice of the Chargers, a part of Petros and Money, AM 570 LA Sports. And they are serious with their surfing. They're out there like every damn day. That's just not me. But outside of the surfers, and the reason I mentioned them, I don't know who else would be going out to the beach and in the water, given how cool. Are you going to make me put you on the microphone now? Tiffany Hobbs, I told you, was here early for the viral load. She's usually on at 9 p.m. And she's looking at me like, no. Not just surfers, but this sister. Okay, so Tiffany Hobbs, you're saying that there would be an opportunity or a reason for you to take yourself and put yourself in this poop water.
Oh, absolutely.
Wait, you hit the wrong button. Hit that button. There you go.
Oh, absolutely. Am I on the right mic?
Hey,
I'm not on.
Stefan, did you break her mic?
They're all up. Uh-oh.
Okay, we have a broken mic. Try it now.
Okay.
Are we here?
There we go.
Are we here?
Yes,
There we
live
go.
radio.
That was Boosh. Yeah, that wasn't me.
Push the correct button.
Just don't want to hear my opinions. Just say that. I am absolutely of the ilk of people who will get into the water, into the ocean water, and go out there and actually swim.
In the winter.
In the winter, in the summer,
In the rain.
One of my favorite things to do is to swim in the ocean in the rain. Now, granted, it is best served when you are in the Caribbean or somewhere else that may be a little bit more tropical, but it's beautiful.
What is the appeal of a Southern California beach in the rain in the winter? Let's say it might be 50 degrees.
It's just, it's freeing.
No, I don't know.
It's freeing. There's something about the water if you are into the water, and I imagine surfers feel this way, or free divers, where you just feel like you're in another world. And it's an escape. It's beautiful. It's refreshing. I'm not a fan of cold water. But when you live in Southern California, the water is pretty cold year round. So
does your fiance know this about you?
he gets in there too.
Both y'all getting the poop tides?
Absolutely.
Y'all
Absolutely.
swim in the poop tides.
It's been a while, and it's been a couple years on a Southern California beach, but other places, absolutely.
You do know that we cover the poop tides and how just about every other week there is a poop advisory telling you to not go in the water because of the bacterial limits that it's exceeded.
Here's the thing. I didn't know that was a thing until maybe last year. So
You've been consuming a lot of poop.
Yeah, you was in the raw sewage.
I have a really good immune system because of it.
Well, maybe you won't catch measles.
I hope not. I think this might be the anecdote. More of us should get out there in that cold water. Let's push that
Or not.
as a remedy.
Or not. How about I just
Or
go and get
prophylactic.
vaccinated and just leave it at that and stay behind out of the water.
I think the more the merrier, Mo. You get vaccinated, you go out there and you freeze your butt off in the water and some of the poop water, get that immune system up. Nothing will be able to touch you.
No one would want to touch me.
I think you'd be okay.
The stench alone.
Well,
Look, I've been to beaches, and I'm not bragging. I'm saying there's a comparison point. I've been to beaches at various points around the world, in the Caribbean, in Europe. I would have to say even the East Coast. Southern California beaches, to me, are probably some of the worst.
Oh, they're
in
filthy.
comparison.
They're filthy.
No, because I'm
New Jersey's very
Jersey.
bad.
That's what
I was going to say Jersey. Yeah.
Jersey is ugh. You call that water? Ugh.
Yeah.
Call that sludge.
SoCal's right on par with that. And it, you can't see through it. It is thicker.
I grew up thinking that ocean water was supposed to be green and black. No, I was being serious because the whole idea of clear water and seeing the sand and the fish, that was completely foreign to me. I thought that was something that was like special effects in a movie or something.
Same. I thought the exact same thing. Like, that's normal.
Yeah, and that is a part of the draw of California is that people don't know the reality. They think it's going to be this blue water like you see in some sort of TV show or movie special effect, and you get here and it's the opposite. But it's a part of why we all live here, right? The proximity to the ocean. I say that in jest.
No, I was proximity to the ocean, yes. I like the ocean breeze.
Okay.
I do. When I lived in Harbor City, I was maybe 8 miles from Redondo Beach. Wonderful ocean breeze. Couldn't beat it. If I wanted to go walk along the beach, I was close enough to do it. If I wanted to go hang out on Redondo Beach Pier or go to Hermosa Beach,
the memories.
It was close enough. I'd gone to Cabrillo Beach a few times, and I said, nope, I will not go there again. I've been to Dockweiler a few times. Nope, not going back to Dockweiler. But there were places, for example, like Venice Beach. I didn't go for the water. I went for the boardwalk.
Oh, no, you don't dare get in the water at Venice Beach.
Yeah,
Santa Monica either.
So when I think of Southern California beaches, I'm thinking of the experience on land next to the beach, not in the water.
Well, let me ask you this. You're critical of the beach, and I understand why, because there are quite a few pollutants. But do you ever get in public pools?
Not since I was 17.
Do you have a community pool in your development that you use? No. But people do get in pools, and I think that
I'm consistent.
One of the things that people don't understand is that pools, community pools, shared pools are just as filthy.
They're actually worse because they are just contained hotbeds of fecal matter.
Jacuzzis.
Fecalicious.
The last time I got into a community pool was 4-H summer camp, and this was maybe 1986. So I had no type of history of just getting in public pools.
You got to live on the edge, Mo. You're a little too straight-laced.
Haven't you seen the movie like Caddyshack? Yes, Caddyshack.
Yes.
Okay, then. That's all you need to see. That's real. That's real.
It can be.
Because people will be doing stuff in the pool. In the movie, it was a candy bar. But I'm saying people will do ones and twos in the pool. And people will not be clean when they get in the pool and they use the pool as some sort of like bath. People are nasty, okay? So that's why I don't do public pools. I don't do the ocean. I like to just stay like on a ship.
Do you use public restrooms?
I avoid it at all costs.
But you have to at some point. What's in the air in there, Mo?
No.
Fecal air.
I'm not staying in there like 2 or 3 hours like you would someone who's at the beach in the water or at a pool. I'm in there and I'm literally holding my breath for a total of maybe 45 seconds. And hopefully there is some soap that I can wash my hands with, and I will dry my hands on my clothes.
The birthday song takes at least 30 seconds, so you need to extend your bathroom time.
It doesn't take that long to walk out after washing your hands for 30 seconds.
How fast? What kind of Olympic sprinting are you doing in the bathroom?
Twala, explain it to her.
You go in and
out.
You go out
as quickly as possible.
You go whoosh, you get out of there. If there's no little foot thing to get a hold of the door, you get a paper towel.
Yep.
You get that handle. You don't touch a thing in there if you can avoid it.
This is boy math.
The only time I would use a public restroom was when I used to be playing basketball at the park. And so that was the only place you could go to the bathroom.
Aerosol, fecal matter. It's in the air. It's everywhere.
I get that, but I'm not.
It's on you right now.
I'm not literally swimming in it.
Kind of are.
No, I'm kind of not.
No,
There's a difference.
No. Not in the studio. There's no fecal in the air.
Not in the studio, but just out there to the bathroom.
No, our bathrooms might as well call them public restrooms because they're just as bad. Even though they're clean, they can't see my air quotes, cleaned every night. And if you've listened to the show long enough, we've told you the stories of someone who dropped a deuce on the floor in the middle of the bathroom.
Primitive.
Were you here working here at that time, Stefan? Excuse me.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, that might have been pre you. I know, Twala, you remember.
I was here.
And it stayed there for days.
Yeah.
Because you think, wait a minute, no one from the cleaning crew, they just sidestepped it for 2 or 3 days?
That was very passive aggressive.
It was a running joke.
That was very
literally a running joke.
Oh, yeah.
Because this was when you were on the weekends, right?
Yes.
So that's why the cleaning crew is not as
because it stayed from Friday to Monday.
Oh, the weekends are rank around here.
Yeah.
They're rank.
Yeah, and I don't know who's worse, men or women. I don't know. There are arguments for both.
No, my daughter told me that the women's restroom, at least here, was like the next door neighbor to hell. Because she said she went in there one day, and what she said, Daddy, whatever lady was in there before I walked in there has a problem.
Oh, no.
She needs to be hospitalized because, Jesus, it was a nightmare in there everywhere.
I personally, I think guys are worse. Maybe I'm biased. We can aim and we never hit the mark. Never.
Yours is intentional.
But that's my point. You walk in and you almost have to you have to lean forward and put your feet way behind you so you're not walking through it.
Or you have to get a complete A in front of the urinal because for some reason or other, they miss the urinal and get right in a circle around the bottom on the floor of the urinal.
A whole damn puddle. You got none of it in the bowl? None of it?
That's what I'm saying. It's passive aggressive. They're doing it on purpose. There's no way.
And I'm not talking about the people who obviously go in there and don't flush. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people who go over and beyond the normal lack of courtesy.
Yeah.
I love radio for the visuals.
Have you noticed that Mark Ronner hasn't said a word? It's almost like he felt like he was he just
left the bathroom.
We'll leave him alone. He's working.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Gavin Newsom, he hasn't officially announced it, but it's obvious to anyone who's paying attention. He is already underway with his political campaign. And part of that is he has a podcast, which I think strategically is brilliant, if only because he can keep himself in the news. He can keep his messaging consistent. And he's also broadening his base and his sphere of influence and his profile as high as possible nationwide, because, podcast is not just for folks in California. And it doesn't matter if he makes some Californians mad, because if he runs for president, he's not going to have to worry about California. I understand the strategy. And right now he's trying to present himself as reasonable, sensible, and not as far left as how often he is depicted by those on the right. How do you go about doing that? Well, you interview Charlie Kirk and you find places where you agree. And you interview now like Steve Bannon and you find places where you agree. And this episode just came out a few hours ago today, and this is Governor Gavin Newsom sitting down with Steve Bannon.
For the record, I'm going down your rabbit hole right here. I'm not an absolutist as it relates to being against tariffs by any stretch of the imagination. And I thought it interesting what I think Biden tripled tariffs on aluminum and steel, which is getting a lot of attention in this country today as it relates to Canada. And Democrats weren't screaming and yelling about that. So
Fetterman, look, you've got, and by the way, thanks, Governor, for doing this. I really appreciate it. Wanted to have this conversation for a long time. Two of the three best economic populists in the Democratic Party, who I think are kind of on an island. One of the best is Ro Khanna. Ro's economic patriotism, which we always kid him as just ripping off Navarre and my economic nationalism, is he's an economic populist. So is Fetterman. Fetterman just announced, we're here today during the CR. Fetterman just announced he would support the CR if it came as Fetterman's a populist, and then Sherrod Brown. Sherrod Brown, I think, has been an economic populist for a long time. So there are very strong voices in the Democratic Party, I think. Now, unfortunately, as a populist, I think they're kind of on an island because it really hasn't been the center of the conversation with the Democratic Party. But I think those three are pretty good as far as populism goes.
Can you see it? Can you see the strategy? Out loud, the agreement. The seemingly they're getting along. They find places where they meet in the middle, and it paints this picture, whether you believe it or not. I'm saying this is the tapestry that they're trying to paint, that Gavin Newsom is not as far apart from those on the far right as some would believe. And they would use this as a marketing vehicle for Gavin Newsom and his national political ambitions. Would this convince anyone in California? Of course not. But it's not for you. It's not for us. It's in the way that not everybody knows Gavin Newsom. Not everyone is familiar with why people may not like Gavin Newsom. That's why he's basically branding himself for the rest of the country and defining himself before the opposition can, whoever that opposition is going to be. And although, like, all the people in Florida loved Ron DeSantis, the moment that the rest of the country started hearing from Ron DeSantis, they didn't like him. Pay close attention, because his presidential campaign has already begun, and he's playing his cards as far as how he wants to depict himself right now for people who would have never considered voting for him. That's the strategy, and you heard it here first. KFI AM 640, we're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
Whether you love us, hate us, or haven't made up your mind, we're glad you're here.
KFI
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Ever wake up feeling lousy, knowing something is off with your body? You don't have time for guesswork. You need Viome. Forget all the generic health fads. Viome doesn't tell you what you want to hear. It tells you what's actually going on inside your body. By analyzing your gut microbiome, Viome delivers a custom health plan that's as unique as your DNA. It's science, not nonsense. Want energy? Want better digestion? Viome has your back. Stop trusting amateurs. Go to Viome.com for a personalized gut professional now. Call *Gut to get $110 off any test. That's *488 to receive a link to the offer.